Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Today we are doing another episode this week of Transformation Time. Transformation Time is a show about our guest speakers' personal development journeys and their mindset shifts. This is a very important topic for me, and I think all of you should take it as an important topic because it's just you start realizing as you advance in your careers in real estate and entrepreneurship, you really start realizing how important it is to shift your mindset, to make those changes so that you can actually grow and do what you want to do. So let me just see. I can see that Sabi's our guest speaker and he has made the request. Give me a minute.
Hi, Diana.
Hey, Savi, how are you?
You had a raised talk. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me fine?
I can, yes.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. I'm excited to have you on and hear about your personal development journey and mindset shifts.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Oh,
Appreciate
am
it.
I frozen? Can you guys hear me? Oh, there we go. Hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, I can. I'm not sure what happened there.
All right.
But I was just saying thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to hear about your personal development journey and your mindset shifts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I would love to talk a little bit about where I first started. So, actually, my journey about real estate started more about it started with the frustration that I had with my own realtor when we bought our first house, where we were not getting the answers that we were looking for. We were not being responded to when we were looking for the answers. And it kind of started there. And but even before that, how we actually got into real estate was another journey on its own. This is back, I would say, 8, 10 years back from here, when we were first, me and my wife, now my girlfriend back then. We were living together, no problems. We were renting a place, we were living the life. We were both working full time, so we were happy with our jobs. And then eventually we were like, okay, well, you know what? Let's go and buy a new car. Just like anyone in their early 20s, they're all fascinated with the new car and everyone wants to drive the new wheel. So we were like, okay, let's go. Let's check out some new cars and let's go and buy one. And that's where we were actually sitting in a dealership. I was ready to sign the papers, put $20,000 deposit on the car and drive away with it. And something struck at that time, like we were in that we've never had any conversations about real estate up until that point. And I was like, okay, I call my wife out. I'm like, let's have a chat. I'm like, why are we putting this down payment on a car when we can actually buy our own house? And at that time, like, it usually takes me a little bit of convincing with my wife, to convince her for anything. But at the time, I was like, okay, well, she was on board with the idea. So instead of car shopping, we started house shopping, and that's where our real estate journey actually first started. We bought our first house. We were happy with our decision, and sure enough, well, we were able to buy another car, not the brand new, the most luxurious car, but we ended up buying another car at the time. So we were happy with our decision. That's where it actually first started, and that's when I first came to know about the whole process about how the real estate market actually works. Up until that point, we were happy in our life. We were just partying around, just living the life like anyone else would in their early 20s. And that's where that's where my first shift happened of my mindset. And the other thing I noticed was the reason we were never into real estate is because everyone around us, our friends, our family, nobody ever talked about it. So we were never in that mindset about owning something ourselves. We were happy renting and we were happy with doing whatever else everyone else was doing. So yeah, that's where it actually started.
Oh wow, that's awesome. And not having that influence and even just thinking about let's buying a house, that's it's usually hard to even think of that, right? Because usually it is usually I feel like in general an influence from someone else, right? You see someone do something and you're like, why am I not doing that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it was. And at the time, we were hearing about it, but nobody was taking any actions on it. We were not around with people with a similar mindset where they were talking about buying real estate. Everyone was like, okay, let's go on vacation. What car are you driving? Right? Let's go and get that. Nobody was in that mind frame at the time, and I don't blame them either. Like everyone was young at the time, and not everyone at that age kind of have that kind of mindset or wants to talk about it because it comes with it,
Hmm.
its fair share of responsibilities as well. So
Hmm.
that was the biggest shift at the time.
100%. And also, even like you're saying, if you don't see it in the families or the friends, like like your elders, it also just doesn't. You don't have that influence to kind of think about it, I would say, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's so you had your experience with your first property, which was your own, living in your own house. What made you made the transition to actually real estate investing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There are a couple different reasons behind it, and one of the foremost reasons that I believe anyone would have is money. Money is always a driving factor as to why people start looking into real estate because it's a big ticket item. You can make big gains on it. But at the same time, I personally I always considered myself a hustler. Like, I was never satisfied with just one full-time job, 9 to 5, and I'm done. Don't bother me. I'm just watching TV. I was never that person. I always needed like a second income. I always needed something on the side. I needed to do something. Like, if I don't, then I'm jittery. So one of the things I started doing is I started focusing on, okay, how can I generate that second income? So I started focusing on my own strength first before developing a new one. So I was like, okay, I'm in IT. That's my strength. That's my core strength. I've trained in it. Why not? Let's use that and generate a second income. And all of that was happening to sustain our lifestyle. It has nothing to do with creating wealth, has nothing to do with creating more money. We're like, okay, we're making this much money. We have a certain lifestyle that we're supporting, but we need to get to the next level. So how do we get there? You generate second income. So that's where it actually first started. But then while I was doing that, what I started with was IT consulting. So in during that time, I was like, okay, I'm working on a lot of small ticket items. I'm making good money, but it's like it's consuming a lot of my time for very little gain. And that's when it hit me. And all of this is happening all at the same time. When we bought our first house, we were looking for a second house. We're like, okay, how do we get into it? How do I get into big ticket items? And that's when it struck me that, you know what, we can actually use real estate, leverage it at the same time, and then create that wealth that you're looking to create. And it's not something that you'll have to consistently work on. Once you strike a good deal, you can keep that for generations. Like, you don't have to ever sell it and still make the big gains that you need to make out of it. But all of that happens while I'm studying about it at the same time. So it had to do a lot of it. My mindset shift, saying, no, I need to talk to the people who are actually doing this. So read about them, talk to them, go to events and stuff. That's when it actually started making sense for me, started shaping up that yes, I can actually use real estate to create that wealth.
Interesting. And so what exactly made you think about investing in real estate? Like, was it that you just saw the price of your house increasing in value and you're like, I need to duplicate this? Like, how could is that what happened? Or
Well,
was it
that was
something
part
else
of,
that you were like in the news or something?
yeah, no, that definitely was a part of it because when we bought our first house and then we bought the second house, market has been going up for past 10 years. We've already seen the data and we've seen the numbers. So that was definitely the part. Up until that point, up until the very first house, I had no idea what refinancing means. Like, I had absolutely no clue. I did not know what leveraging the equity means. These were the terms that I came across while doing those first two transactions of the real estate. And then I started reading a lot more about it, like what exactly is it? How can I tap into it? What does bank needs from me? How can I make it happen? It's the reading part that got me into it and saying, okay, you know what? I have this much money. Why am I not using it and I'm leaving it in my house? See, what happens a lot of time is people get scared, and it's okay to be scared. Like real estate investment is not for everyone. So that, I would put that out as a disclaimer. It comes with fair share of responsibilities and other stress that it's not for everyone. But I was like, okay, I have this much equity, and I was that person where I would use it and make it happen. I knew it, like I had that confidence. Yeah, I can make something happen out of this equity. How do I tap into it? So I started reading about it. I talked to a few mortgage brokers. I'm like, what do I do? What do I need to do? But then I was also looking into how do I minimize my risk, and that's where I had another mindset shift is, you know what, I don't need to do this alone. I can actually do this with a lot of other people. We can come in together. If there are other people who are on the same boat as I am, where they have some equity and we can go and buy a house together, we are now sharing that risk instead of me going alone and something happens in the market, it goes upside down and I'm stressed out. I can actually reduce that stress by sharing that responsibilities with other people. So I started talking about it with a lot of other people. I started talking to about it with my friends, with my family, and that's when my first investment property came about. Is we were four of us together. We bought our first house together as an investment property, and the rest is pretty much the history. But then what that also educated me towards the fact that, you know what, none of my deal has to be done alone. Like I can share each of my deal and make same amount of money, make same amount of gains as I would if I was to go in alone. The best part is when you're investing with others, your growth is exponential. Your growth is way outpaced than if you were going all by yourself. So that was another thing. And all of this I'm learning while I'm working on stuff. So it's very important to keep in mind that not to get into that phase of analysis paralysis, and we talk a lot about this in real estate world, where people are thinking too much and not taking action. So if there is, I would suggest if there's anyone who is not sure and doesn't want to take the action because they're too scared that something's going to happen, just go in with someone else. Just make that jump. And there is no crystal ball where anyone can tell you what's going to happen next. But if you want that to happen in your life, if you want to make that shift in your life and you want to create that wealth in your life, you have to take action. You cannot just sit on the sidelines. It's not going to happen.
100%, yeah. Did you go through a bit of analysis paralysis at the beginning? Is that what you talk about it, or just generally what you see?
Yeah, I've always been a go-getter. I was never stuck. I was like, okay, I have a plan and I need to hit it, and that's it. Like you just hit the road, go get your goal. That's pretty much it. I know not everyone
Okay, so
is.
you help all those people with analysis paralysis.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the power of real estate, is that you don't have to do everything alone. Like even if you are one of those people who are stuck in less analysis paralysis, have faith. Like talk to people, talk to someone where you can take your first jump. And once you find the right person to take that first jump with, I can bet you that everything else will be history after that point. You just have to find that right
100%.
person that you can partner up with.
100%, yeah. Someone that you trust and that very well or well enough, then either you're in the research sense or someone personally that you know that's doing it. Because,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. Like great points that you were saying, just about working together. Working together is such an important part of it. Like you said, even if in each real estate you're making a little bit, but the fact that you're compounding the amount of work you can do because it's not just you. In the bigger scheme, you're making actually a lot more money because on our own, maybe we're waiting, 2, 3 years to buy each next house because you're waiting to save the money. You're waiting to wait for the appreciation of the house so you can take out more money. Mainly it's that I would say. It's very hard these days to save the down payments.
Yep, yep, and that's exactly. And you just don't know what strength that other partner is bringing in. Maybe that partner can bring in a lot more down payment, and while you have the borrowing capacity, you both can go in together, buy a house together. That person may not be able to qualify for the mortgage, but you can. So there is always ways to, and you know it, and I know it. We've done so many deals in the past where this is how you come together and buy real estate. If you're just sitting on the sideline of the way the market has acted in the last 2 or 3 years, you'll never be able to save enough money to go and buy it by yourself. It's just not going to happen unless either you have tons of equity sitting or you have won lottery basically at this point. So it's very important to work together and talk to people and not be scared about it. Like, just go and talk. You just don't know who you will end up being a partner with.
100% agree. And yeah, exactly. It's just even something I feel like is a really good basis for people, and even to help them understand, for example, like what you and I do and why what we do is so beneficial to other people, is that usually the best thing to do is you kind of look at yourself and you decide on two things, right? Do I have money, and do I have time? And you calculate how much of that. Because a lot of people, for example, or not even they may have time, but they don't have the time for real estate. You know, they don't have
Yep.
the interest, right? And
Yep.
they're like, I have money, but I don't want to deal with the hassles of it. All
Yep.
right. And then there's people like us where we're like, we're up for the grind, to get it done, find those deals and like, make our partners happy, right? So there's understanding, and obviously understanding the roles of what to say, like an active partner would do, and like what the role of even the passive partner is. Because I feel like these kind of things help everyone to understand the importance of both, and why you may want to, for example, let's say if you have the money, why you would want to partner with someone who doesn't have the money but has the skills and the know-how, right? Because it's just like they're in the market, they know what's going on. They're probably picking up those deals quickly, right? Or they're finding the good deals because the connection's already there, right? We both build our networks to try to just know what's happening in the moment. And, a person who doesn't have the time or the interest but wants to invest their money will be like, you know what, let me use you. You do what you want with my money and just make me some money.
Yeah, exactly. And which is why it's very important. We talk a lot about it in a lot of different events, that define your why. Like, it's very important to define your why before you get into it, is because that's what's going to tell you which direction you need to take. Some people get stuck in analysis paralysis is because they don't know what their why is. Like, why do you need to do this? And if it is for money, sure, but are you willing to compromise your full-time job for it, or is it something that you want to do passive? Like, you need to make those decisions for yourself. Nobody else can. It's not like one fits all. It's not. Real estate is very different. It's just like any other field. You have too many ways to do real estate transactions, and that's why it's very important for you to know, like, what kind of investor you want to be. Do you want to be an investor who just wants to invest in REITs, in share market, and just be it? And that's totally fine too. Everyone is different. So you need to define. You cannot say, oh, Diana, I want to be you. Sure, I mean, you can follow Diana and be Diana, but is that really what's going to make you happy? Right? So that's why it's very important to define that why before you jump into any real estate transaction, or you just kind of stress yourself out.
100%, completely agree. And so we learned about one of your skills, that you're a go-getter. So what other skills do you say that you had that helped you advance in your careers, or helped you with, even like you said, your partnerships, getting
Yeah,
your
it's
partners and stuff?
Yeah, basically, I used my own personal skill that I had before even getting into real estate, which was, I said, in IT. So one of the skills that I developed was consulting, and consulting basically starts with a lot of networking, meeting with people, and selling your services. And that's where it actually started. So I started tapping into that skill of mine and started networking with people, talking about it. A lot of people just did not understand how this whole real estate market worked from an investor perspective. A lot of people know it, how it works for retail buyers. So if you're buying a house for yourself, most of the people know how that works, but nobody understood how it actually worked in the real estate market from the investor perspective. And that's where I started tapping into. I started educating them. It wasn't something that happened in a day. It took some time. It took some coaching. It took some my personal time that I spent with people to educate them on how they can actually do this. And then at the same time, it's a skill to have that people start trusting you. It's very important for any transaction to happen, is that people need to trust you. If people don't trust you, nothing's going to happen. You won't be able to sell a thing. So while you're actually educating them, it's important to understand that they actually trust what you're saying, and you have to prove that with data, you have to prove that with points, you have to prove them by giving examples that you may have. And that's the strength that I actually started working on, is to start partnering up with people and not be scared to talk about real estate. A lot of people, I think they get stuck in the phase that people will judge them for what they're saying. You need to get out of that mindset, and that's where the shift needs to happen. Talk about it. Talk to as many people. You just don't know. It might be that the person you're talking to is in the same boat as you, where that person has a lot of money sitting but doesn't want to talk to anyone about it because he's too scared to talk about it. That's why I think that's the skill that I started tapping into a lot, is to talk to people. Just talk to as many people as you can, and eventually you will make your network that will get you the deals that you're looking for.
100%. And the comfort, right? For those people that, let's say, I mean, I feel like for you, you probably won't have that problem with talking to people, but for those, it just also with practice. 'Cause I would say for me, it would, like with practice, I would say like lives, like these kind of things. For me, it was like social media that was my problem, right? But it was just like, you know what? You just got to do it. You make a fool out of yourself, but after a while, you get better at it, right? And you're like, okay, I think I got this. I can do this now, you know? So it's very true. And like that, networking is a skill on its own that you do need to learn and understand, you know, where to go or how to do it, because that's true. I never thought of it in that way. Actually, it is in itself also a skill that you kind of need to learn and just hone it in and practice.
Yeah, it just gets better with time. The more you talk to people, more comfortable you're gonna get. And if it's just getting out of that comfort zone. Like if you're always in your comfort zone and you don't put yourself in discomfort, you will never learn anything new. So to get into anything new which you haven't been doing in your life, you have to get discomfort. It's you just have to start somewhere.
100%. And I think that's mainly what scares a lot of people, because especially I feel like as you get older, you really start getting set in your ways. So I feel like that's what differentiates the go-getters, or the people that want to, or even like you said, the ones that really find their why and make them push them to go forward. Because I've always said this, you know, like if you're too comfortable, you're gonna stay in where you are. And especially I feel like and where you see it the most is like the middle class, right? Like the middle class have their benefits, they have their 9 to 5 job, they're so cushy, you know, making a good amount of money. And it's just like, really, it's the people in the poverty lives that actually, like, you hear like these person came from nothing and go up, is because like they've been there and they're like, I don't like it, it's not fun, I need to get out of it, you know. And their whys are a lot stronger, right? Like for middle class people, we really need to, like, either it happens for some reason, or you have to push yourself to get into the why and out of, like you said, the comfort zone. Because the middle class, we're very cushy, you know, I feel like in the middle class.
No, that's true. And again, as I said, it's not for everyone. If you want something more from your life, you want to do something different, and you want to get out of your regular 9 to 5 and your everyday job, you have to do something different. And it takes effort, it takes time. It will take everything out of you. It's not easy. So if anyone thinks that, oh, just because you have money sitting in your account and you can just go and be an investor, that's not true. Let me just
100%. And it'll be like a sore hit in the ass, you know? You'll be like, oh, that was not fun.
That's exactly what it is. So it comes with a lot of stress. You will have a lot of sleepless nights. So if that's what you're looking for, be ready for it. It sure comes with its own benefits. It will give you the felt that you have never seen before, that your 9 to 5 will never give you, no matter at what position you are in, at what role you're in. You could be a CEO of the biggest company you could think of, but you will not be able to generate the same amount of wealth that you can by leveraging real estate. So, but you need to be ready. You need to be ready for what's coming next. And that's what I tell people, and people that I coach at the same time, is that I cannot tell you everything about a deal. It's a journey, and everyone's journey is very different. My journey is very different from yours. I could give you pointers. I can tell you what to look out for. But every deal, and you know this, Dinah, too, like we have done so many deals, every deal is so different from each other. Like you cannot train someone to know everything about a deal or what can go wrong. So this is a journey you have to live through. There are a lot of unknowns that you will never find out until you're actually in it. So if you're ready for that kind of challenge, you like that kind of surprises, you like to be on your toes all the time, go for it. Like this is for you, and you'll make you'll make a lot of money in it. But you just have to be sure about what's coming next, and nobody knows. I cannot even tell you what's coming next with next deal. So
100%.
that's one thing people should just keep in mind. It's not just being emotional and going and investing and buying a property. That's good. But if you need to make a wealth and generational wealth out of it, you need to be careful about how you're going about it.
100%. And like they're saying in the audience, we completely agree with you. It's definitely not for everyone, but I would say anyone though can invest in real estate, but it's like that through partnerships. The ones that don't want to be involved,
Yeah,
be involved just with big, if you want to, obviously, then you just bring the money and you don't have to deal with the headaches because we will
exactly.
definitely not give you the headaches. That's our job, is to reduce everything and then you just get to reap the rewards.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, no, that's sure. If that's what, and this is why it's important to define your why. Like, is this what you're looking for? If that's what you're looking for, this is a great way of creating wealth without any stress. So you can invest, but not have to worry about any headaches. And sure enough, people like you and me and other investors out there will take care of all the stress. But at the same time, be ready to share some of that profits.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes along.
100%. So I guess what you're telling everyone is that we're like masochists and we like the pain, I guess.
Pretty much. Pretty much. And it's okay. It's totally fine. Everyone has their own personality type, and nobody's saying that you have to change your personality to do real estate investment. There
Mhm.
are other
Mhm.
people you can partner up with who can take care of more face-off stuff rather than you being the face of the entire transaction. You can sit in the background, just invest the money and take the rewards, as you said. So it's totally fine. There's no harm in it at all. You just have
Mhm.
to take the action. Don't just sit and learn. A lot of people just learn. They'll watch hours and hours of videos and they'll read all kind of books, but they'll never take any action. None of that's going to get in your
100%.
growth. So it's
100%.
important to take action.
Yeah. And I think just to add a little caveat to that, because we don't want to scare away the people that are like not that social either, is that there are actually people who are active investors and aren't as social as we are. But what happens is we partner together, right? Because we use our skills, like Sabi's saying, right? We know what our skills are, and that means we know which skills we're looking for to make sure that they complement us so that when we're working as a team, because also even in active partnerships, it's not one person. You even have a team of active partners with you. Uh, and so it's just basically really knowing yourself, like you said, for your why, you need to know yourself and knowing yourself for your skills and what you can give so you can find someone who doesn't have that so that you guys basically become a power team, right? To be able to get whatever it is that you need to get done.
Yep, no, absolutely. I agree 100%. That, which is why I've always emphasized on working together, work as a team. There's
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own strength, and you would be surprised by the type of strength people bring, something you can't even think of, right? Some people are
Mm-hmm.
good at accounting, some people have really good connections with contractors, some people are contractors themselves, some people are into some other trade that you can actually tap into and utilize it for that one particular deal. So it's important, like it's okay to share the profit because you are gaining that strength of networking that you cannot get if you were just going in all by yourself.
100%. Completely agree. And so now, because I know what's going on in your life a little bit, I've been seeing that you're going bigger. So with growing and going bigger, changes need to happen, right? New mindset shifts need to happen. So I'm curious now with these bigger developments that you're doing, what changes are you seeing in yourself or seeing even in the future that you have to do to get these projects going or to level up?
Yeah, great question. So again, my entire journey has been mind shift, right? I was in a mindset where I'm not even thinking about real estate, and then eventually I'm talking about, oh, let's get our first house, and then a mind shift of being an investor. in the same way, I'm like, I don't want to stop here. I just want to go get to the bigger level, get to the next level. And what are those levels? Define that for myself. So I got into development, and one of the things that I needed for it to happen is to talk to the right people who are into it. I had no idea. Even when I started real estate journey, I had no idea, as I mentioned before, about how the entire thing worked, how the banking worked around it, how the equity worked around it. Now that I've mastered that piece of it, I'm like, okay, how do I get to the next level? How do I sit with on a bigger table? It's just like poker, right? You get onto a bigger table, you're playing with bigger players, but in order to get there, you need to know someone who can let you in that room. And it's
Hmm.
important to network with those people, which is why networking in your entire real estate journey should never stop. And you need to just talk to the right people. You need to make those connections. You need to make an effort as to how you can talk to those people. It's not easy to get appointments with people at that level. So you just have to be persistent. You have to just make sure that you just keep trying and learn from them. Be partner with them, invest with them, and that's how you will learn the inside of that circle. If you are just out there thinking that you're gonna make profits out of it and not giving anything back, you're gonna learn your lessons the hard way. So just have an open mind and go in as a learner, not as a teacher. If you will go in as a learner, you will gain a lot more than if you are pretending to be a teacher and say, "No, I know it all. Just tell me what I need to do." Don't have that mindset. Just go in as a learner. Always be alert on the learning side, and you will gain a lot more than you would otherwise. So the shift that I'm making is to actually network with those people, reach out to as many people as I could, reach out to the contractors as well who have done bigger developments and who can give me the insight of what challenges I can potentially run into. Talking to cities, talking to city council, making connections in city council is very important. A lot of people don't understand this, is that your entire project, when it comes to development, is literally with the city's permission. If you don't get permissions in the city and you don't have those contacts in there, you're not going to break the ground. So nothing's going to happen. Which is why it's very important. It's not just networking within your circle and with your real estate investor friends. It's also reaching out to people you are relying on for this project to happen. So again, as I said, reaching out to the city council, reaching out to the surveyors, reaching out to the architects, talking to those people, and retaining all that knowledge as to, okay, what else do I need to do? Just think 2 steps ahead. What else can happen in that project? And try to retain that knowledge as much as I could.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. So I feel like your main focus of everything is networking and just always trying to increase your network and
Yeah.
finding those people that can do what you need, what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's the foremost thing. If you network and you talk to people, you can go to places. And that's true with not just real estate, but anywhere else too. Like, it doesn't matter what your profession is. If you're networking people, you'll go to places way faster than if you're just trying to do it all by yourself.
100%. And even another point that you made that I just wanted to re-emphasize because it is so important, and it's probably like exactly what you're saying, like why you're getting further, is that even when you're networking, if you're helping and sharing information, and there's that back and forth, like you're saying, that it's you're not there just to take and you're actually there to provide, even though, for example, like you're saying, you're going into those higher levels. But in
Yeah.
those higher levels, they will still need something, maybe not like what you're looking for, but they're looking for other things that maybe you can help and really that help in the share of your information will just take you further because it just helps you build that relationship and
Yeah.
helps you get what you want because especially like you get to certain levels and you start noting, especially I feel like because you say you do coaching, so I feel like this probably happens to you too, is that people will come and they're like little vampires, like taking, and you're just like, oh my God, like, you
But
just feel
even
like
at
it's
that
just
point,
taking from you, and you're like, what are you providing for others, and it's just kind of like,
yeah, no, absolutely. It's always give and take. The more you do give and take, the better it will be for the entire community, and it will be for your own growth and for the other person's growth at the same time. So it's very important to keep in mind that it's always going to be give and take. If you want to grow, just remember you always give first and take after. all the time.
100%.
You'll
And
come up
most
more.
likely at the beginning, you're actually giving a lot more than you are taking because you're just in that learning phase and you're like, I'll help you, I'll do whatever you want, like I just need to learn.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's a journey, right? Like even while you are working at it, you will come to a point where you'll be like, okay, wealth is not important anymore. I've created enough wealth. I have enough money, and there is no definition to it, right? Like maybe 100,000 is more than enough for me, may not be enough for Diana, right? Diana needs maybe $1 million. But once you reach that level that you have set for yourself, your mind shift will automatically take another shift. It's like, okay, I need to find more purpose in my life. What is my next goal? And that's when you will actually, using real estate, you can actually start pivoting into different directions. So something like providing housing for the poor, right? It is another vehicle in the real estate journey that you can use not only to make money, but now your mind shift has changes to providing housing for the poor people. So it's important to learn and get to that level where you're like, okay, now I've reached this level, which is it's very important to define your goals. Once you reach that goal, you need to ask yourself, what is next for me? A lot of people just keep going in circle. They will reach their goal and they'll go again in circle and come back to the same goal. So it's very important to define those goals for yourself and always define the next level and how you're going to reach there and what does that look like for you.
100%. All great points. And so another thing you said that is we're going back a little bit, but you talked about real estate, that you were a realtor. And so how have you felt that being a realtor has helped you advance in this? Or how come being a realtor, for example, because let's say I'm not, and I'm a real estate investor, you are. So what made you want to become, like, did you become a realtor first and then an investor, or did you use it as a tool to be an investor?
Yeah, it was all happening at the same time. So one of the frustrations I had with my personal realtor when I bought my first house was not getting the answers and not getting the data that I was looking for. Data in real estate is key, as you already know. You need to know what's going on in the market. You need to know what the numbers are looking like. You need to compare the numbers at what it was last week, a month before, and what does that entire neighborhood looks like when you're investing in it. And that's one of the key reasons why I got my real estate license, is to able to get that data. Back in days when I got my license, there was no Six Sigma or other websites that are out there now where you can gather data. But that helped me to gather the data not only just for one city, but for the entire province and even outside the province, which was the key reason to get that license. Then it enabled me to not only buy and sell properties myself, but even for the investors who were not looking to invest with me, but at the same time were willing to work with me because they knew that I had the knowledge that I needed, and I helped them in closing those transactions, and then also help them build the portfolio they were looking to, get them the data, compare it for them, make sure that they understand why the deal is good or bad for them. So it just helped in the entire journey of where I am today.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's a lot of great points, and specifically one that I kind of also actually had a very bad experience with a realtor with my very first one, and getting actually into becoming an investor, you do start realizing, like you were saying, that there's even two types of real estate realtors, sorry, right? I feel like
Yep.
the ones that are just for homeowners, it's like you said, you don't get any data. They're just
Yep.
kind of like, I don't know, like they just give you like super basic information. And especially when you're hitting our side, like we need a lot of data,
Yep.
It's like because we have so much research, especially like even one of the things that you're talking about in the past, just recently, just now, was that, we deal like being a real estate investor. And the reason why we get, let's say, good deals is because we do very unique situations. That's where the money comes from. That's why we deal with like stresses and stuff, is because we deal with such unique type of properties. And with that, you need a lot of data to make sure that you're making the best decision for you and your partners.
Yep.
And I just wanted to point that out because it's something that I've also noticed. Like a realtor, you're right. Like data is something that I feel like if it's a realtor just for homeowners, it's super basic, and it's stuff that we can't work with. And then when you tell them to like get that, they're kind of like, oh my God, like you're asking for way too much. I don't know enough of it, or and then it's just kind of like, okay, I need to find someone who's focused in that area,
Yeah.
or
And
find
it's
it in
important.
some.
Yeah, and it's an important point for your viewers to know this too. Like it's I don't want to hate on my own people. I'm a realtor myself, so I don't want to hate on other realtors. But it's okay. It's okay if you're doing a one-time transaction for a house that you'll be living in. It's an emotional buy because you like the house, and it does not matter if you're a little bit paying a little bit over than the asking or where the case might be. Maybe you earned it. You worked hard for it, and you want that house. You deserve it. Go for it. But if once you move into the investor cycle, it's a whole different ballgame. So you just need to make sure that the realtor you're working with understands that he is an investor himself. Because if he's not, he will never get the idea of what real estate investment is all about. So make sure, talk to that person, say, have you done any transactions like these before? Can you give me some examples? Show me what the market data looks like. And if he is or she is truly a real estate investment realtor, they will share the data that you're looking for. And that's why it's very different and it's very key. And that's why, like, I'm not on the retail side. Like I tell people, I'm not on the retail side. I'm mostly working only with investors, and that's keeping me busy because there's so many investors out there that it's just insane, right? So
Yeah.
that's why it's really key thing to ask your realtor if you are going for investment is, have you been investing yourself or are you an investor yourself?
Although, to be honest, just from experience, I
Yeah.
wouldn't directly ask it that way because I
Yeah.
feel like everyone always says yes, you know? I feel like everyone's like a yes person. It's
Yeah.
kind of like more asking, like, what kind of deals do you do or something like super generic so you kind of get
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
know like where their niche are. Because there's
Yeah.
lots of people that are like, I do everything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's crazy.
The jack of all trades for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Especially I feel like that, like you're saying, when it comes to investing, it's super niche. So you do really need a realtor that is a real estate investor too, because it's just a completely different ball game. And if you get someone who's not, they'll actually they'd get frustrated with you very quickly because they'd be like, this person's super demanding, and
Yeah.
like I'm just used to someone like being like a lot quicker with everything or not needing as much information because in that world they don't need that much information, right?
Yeah.
It's not like such a complicated situation like us. Like again, we deal with such complicated types of properties that we need a lot of data to make sure that we're not screwing ourselves over and our partners.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what about so or I don't even know actually I'll still ask it, but I feel like it's gonna be the same answer. Just because I feel like it's the air that's in the same direction. But are there any changes in the future for growth that you feel like you want to do with you, or is just going to be changes like that? Like I feel like networking, like you said, is such a big part of it. Are there any besides networking? Are there other things within you that you're trying to change to do the leveling up for the
Yeah.
future?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm actually looking to get a coach myself. So someone who is at the level where I have not seen before and someone who can take me there. As I said, always be on the learning side. And I still believe there's a lot more to learn. I also want to look into commercial sides of real estate as well and see what that picture looks like. I want to see into land acquisition as well. And I want to hire a coach who can take me to that next level. So I'm literally at this point on a hunt to find that coach for myself while I'm coaching the other people who are starting their journey right now. I always
Mm-hmm.
consider myself as a learner, as someone who is a student of real estate at all time and every time. There's only so much you can learn from real estate. So at this point, for the next level, I am actually looking for a coach myself who can actually take me to that next level.
100%. That's awesome. And that's true. It's exactly true what you're saying because there's always going to be someone above us as you go
Yep.
up. And it's like you, same thing. I have a mentor. Like, yeah, I do same thing, coaching to other people. And like, but I also have a mentor because I mean, if my students catch up to me, and maybe they will, right? Because again, they maybe have different things. But I mean, I'm supposed to be leveling up too and changing and evolving so that I give them also things to learn.
Yep.
So it's very important. I feel like that we all are evolving and learning and having our mentors to help us continue our growth. So that's awesome. That's great. I'm glad you had another because I was thinking you're gonna say networking again, and then I was like, oh no, that sounds like I'm not sure if I should ask or not because
No,
I
it's
can
all
tell
good.
networking is huge for you.
It's very good. It's the biggest piece of where I am today and how I made it here today. Networking is the biggest piece for sure, but then you also have to look as to how you go from here. Okay, you're at a certain level. I've had a coach in the past who got me to this level. Now I already know that to get to the next level, I need to hire a coach who can take me there. So it's like you're learning judo or taekwondo, where you have different belts and you need different instructors to get you there. So it's basically same formula applies here as well.
100%, totally agree. And it's just like the economy is always changing. So it's like you will, and you're always growing. So it's just kind of like you're always going to want to have a mentor to just help you and push you. Because it's, to be honest, I feel like that's the purpose of a mentor too sometimes, is like sometimes, well, again, you're a go-getter. So maybe it may be a little different for you. But let's say for me, sometimes you need those like pushes where it's like super stressful things and or outside perspective even like sometimes you're just like in the grind in the stress and then you need your mentor to be to kind of give you that positivity or let you know to make a decision because sometimes your blinders are on way too hard, you know, they're just really stuck on there, you can't open them up. And then your mentor is there to be like, you know what, you need to like step back because for example maybe you need to sell this out quickly because it's just not a good idea, things are going bad, and like your exit strategy is to sell, and you're kind of like in that mode, which I've seen some people where it's like you're just like really trying hard to like make it work and it's just like no, it's not going to work, like just let it go, you know, it's not your strategy or whatever it is, but it's not going to work. So
Yeah, no,
it's just good
absolutely.
to always have someone there for you to kind of pull you up when you need it or
Yeah,
to
no,
give you advice or pick you up or whatever it is.
yeah, no, exactly. And part of the reason is that a lot of people, once they start investing in, let's say, residential real estate, they're always stuck in that residential mind frame. They will never think outside of residential real estate. They may actually get into maybe a multi-unit, maybe a duplex, triplex, but you're still looking into that zone of being into residential market. But looking at how quickly the market can shift these days, what you need to be able to define for yourself, okay, what is my exit? Is just selling my only exit? Or is it something more that I can look into? Can I tap into the equity and go buy a land and keep a piece of land because land doesn't lose its value the way a house would? Or should I now look into commercial real estate because commercial real estate took a hit during COVID? Can I find a better deal over there? So you need to be open your horizon into those directions as well, and not just keep yourself fixated at one. But for you to be for you to be able to do those steps or take those directions, you need someone who can steer you or steer your thoughts into a different direction. Which is why it's important to have a coach or a mentor or someone you can talk to who can tell you if it's a good decision or a bad decision or what you should and should not do.
100%, totally agree. So last burning question, and I wonder if you have it planned. So in your, and this can be personal and in your business life, what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what are those like big goals look like for you?
Big goals for me looks like I'm gonna get into more into development, so picking up lands wherever I could, do some infill projects. That's my next goal. That's where I want to head into is to provide more housing. It could be a multi-residential building. It could be a multiplex building. It could be maybe a row of townhouses, maybe 20 together, 40 together, depending on what deal I can land into. But that's the goal. That's the direction I want to head into. Uh, from this point onwards is to start looking into lands and see where I can pick those up. At the same time, I have to also investigate how friendly the city council is, because that's one of the things that I've learned in my past experiences, that it's very important to talk to the city and see what they feel about intensification in the city. It's okay for you to say, yeah, I want to do this, but none of that's going to happen if the city's not on board. So it's very important to have those key relationships in the city as well, and wherever you're planning to invest, to make sure that you can actually accomplish your goals.
100%. So it's great to hear. Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. It was so fun to chat with you and get to know you a little bit more and to just get to get some knowledge from you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Adam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. Like and share, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye, everyone. Bye, Sabi.
Bye.